Title partner AU Small Finance Bank, Gold partner Car Dekho, Silver partner Hinduja Leyland Finance, Bronze partner Shriram General Insurance, Snap-on Hoffman, Logo partner Bajaj Allianz, Digit, Gulf and Priyam Infosystems Private Limited. इन सब के सौजन्य से, इन सब की पार्टनरशिप के साथ ये व्यापार राजस्थान आपके सामने है. फाइनेंशियल प्रूडेंस पे हम बात करेंगे. आई रिक्वेस्ट श्री राजन पेंटल जी to please come up on the stage. Mr. Rajan Pental, Group President and Global Head Retailing Banking, Yes Bank Limited. He is responsible for galvanizing the retail banking franchisees for Yes Bank. He carries a rich experience of 3 decades in financial services industry. Mr. Rajan has been associated with Tata Finance, ANZ Grindlays Bank Limited, Escorts Limited and Industrial Chemical Limited. And he has also completed an executive program for development of strategic skills from IIM Calcutta 2004-2005. Can we please put our hands together for Shri Rajan Pental?
थोड़ा सा लंच के बाद का सेशन थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है, और वो भी अगर आप फाइनेंशियल प्रूडेंस की बात करें तो थोड़ा और मुश्किल हो जाता है. So we will spend couple of minutes in understanding as to how should we look at the dealership business. So request all, if you can lend your ears for some time. So I think it has been a wonderful session since morning. We discussed about the future of retail. We discussed about the legalities involved, what is the expectation of the industry from the government. So by and large we covered a lot of things. We also covered at length as to what are the impediments which are going to be very carefully crafted or grafted through to emerge stronger out of it. Since I take care of the MSME business as well, I would like to draw a comparison between the MSME and the retail dealership business, and it's very very important. तो जब से मैंने अपनी ऑटोमोबाइल की जर्नी शुरू की, एंड दैट वाज अ टाइम जब एस्कॉर्ट्स में मैं डीलर्स अपॉइंट करता था, तो उस समय का एक बहुत फंडामेंटल चीज़ होती थी टू अट्रैक्ट एनी डीलर. वी यूज्ड टू से दैट the dealership business is not about the profitability from the dealership operations. It is also, what you need to add is also the escalation in the property price. And this is a 3-decade-old model which used to be widely discussed, and the whole industry used to use that as a pitch to get a good dealership. While that model was good for that time, उस समय के लिए शायद वो बहुत अच्छा मॉडल था. प्रॉपर्टी प्राइसेस बढ़ रही थी, रोड्स बन रही थी, तो ऑटोमोबाइल के नए पैचेस खुल रहे थे पोटेंशियल मार्केट्स के. और उस समय ऑटोमोबाइल एक बहुत ज़्यादा एक फैमिली ओन्ड बिजनेस था. बट ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, इन द लास्ट 3 decades, द जर्नी विच हैज़ गॉट कवर्ड is that the dealership business is today as professional a business as any MSME businesses. And people who have, and I would not say corporate, it does not need to become a corporate business. So I think that is a misnomer when people say that a dealer should be corporate dealership. There was a lot of discussion, a decade back, when a lot of people came and said it should be corporate. I don't think dealership business should be corporate, but dealership business should be a MSME business. And I'm not talking about the government labeling associated with the nature of business. What I mean to say is the conduct of the dealership has to be on the lines of a strong MSME, which means that all the thought process has to be not in terms of only raising funds for running your day-to-day operation, but also the way the entire operation of a dealership has to happen. The banking sector in the last 1 decade would have lost, if I had to put a vague estimate, would have lost close to 5,000 crores because of the dealerships going down the drain. And that would be the net of the collateral values realized by the banks. This is the quantum of loan which the banks suffered. So while we are talking about the banks, please think about the dealerships which were very successful ventures, which were doing very well. They were doing actually extremely well. But because of the irrational exuberance or in the zeal to grow at a very rapid pace, they actually lost out somewhere. And the biggest problem has been the mismatch of short term and long term. So one of the clear thought process which emerges out of this experience, wherein some of the most credible names, some of the most known businessmen also, their businesses went down the drain. Not only bringing them down, but along with them thousands of employees who were dependent on them. Where we stand today, I think we have sufficient data, we have sufficient reasons, we have sufficient analysis available with us as to how should we take this business forward. And please understand, हम आज उस स्पेस पे खड़े हैं जहाँ पर जो करंट मॉडल है वो आप सबको मालूम है, it is undergoing a change, it is undergoing a mutation. Whether it is going to be fossil or it is going to be EV, whether it is going to be a self-funded business or is it going to be covered under some umbrella under the MSME and hence some special treatments will come through, whether there will be a private equity coming in, whether there will be mergers. So all these new models are emerging very closely. Prudence of a successful entrepreneur or of a successful running business in whatever format he is running is also to live with the times. तो आज की डेट में ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि आप एक डीलरशिप लें, इन्वेंट्री ले लें और वो डीलरशिप आपको 25-30 साल तक आपके लिए वो वाइबल डीलरशिप है. ये बिज़नेस में इतनी ज़्यादा चेंजेस होंगी कि उसके साथ पेस रखने के लिए आपको अपने आप को अपग्रेड करना पड़ेगा, थोड़े फॉर्मेट्स में चेंज लाने पड़ेंगे और फ्लेक्सिबल फॉर्मेट्स रखने पड़ेंगे जिसमें आप एडजस्ट कर सकें. One of the biggest drawback which I saw which I continue to see in the dealership business is that the dealers as successful business want to run the entire business at their own. They think they are the best CFO, they are the best CEO, they are the best R&D managers, they are the best production managers, they are good in everything, they are the best digital marketing people. Unfortunately, this is not just difficult, but this is impossible. So one of the biggest investment which as dealership you should do, which should not be looked as an expense, but as an investment is that do hire a good CFO for your company. That is the first step, and this I repeatedly tell all the dealers who come and meet me or where I go and meet. Some of them are good old family friends, some of them are new emerging, young generation dealers. You have to, unless you are yourself a chartered accountant, please ensure that you invest in a very good CFO. And he will, and what is it we are trying to derive out of it? The most important thing to derive out of it is somebody who can tell you what is financial prudence. Somebody who can tell you what is the importance of a clean balance sheet. Somebody tells you or teaches you or makes you conscious of what the financial ratios are. Today there is GST, today there are various ways and means through which your entire financial machinery can be circled back. And hence, and the banks have burned their fingers, right? In this scenario, when there is a reluctance of the banks to come forward to lend, it is very, very important that your balance sheets are not just healthy, but they are transparent. Why I am saying it's more important to be transparent than healthy, please draw a comparison. India is the largest hub of startups, fintechs, or other allied industries. So the banking sector has become expert in not funding you where you stand today, but in trying to understand on the strength of your current balance sheet and your business model, which obviously is supported by some financial model, what is going to be your future cash flows, and can those be assessed and lending can be done on that. It's not important to show a very profitable business. What is more important is to show a transparent business. So keep your financials as transparent as possible. That is the first requirement to bring the discipline, to actually tell you what is there inside the balance sheet, and to actually demonstrate as to what is the strength of your balance sheet. This is one of the most important thing, and for that you either a full-time, part-time, on contract basis, whatever format you think best suits your business, do invest in one of the best people for who should work with you as a CFO, and you should keep a hawk's eye on your financials. The second mistake which the dealership business or the MSME business, which is the larger scope, has always made is the gap between short term and long term. That understanding becomes more important, because if you want to be adequately funded, any kind of a mismatch, instead of getting accommodated, would actually be looked at with a passive eye. And the cash flows expected from such money has very limited chances of an upside, be it stock, be it property, be it any other business where you think there is prudence to take out money from here and put it into the other business. Their businesses are turbulent at this point of time. And by the time they revive and they try to show, your game on short term and long term can actually be extremely counterproductive. The third thing which I think we really need to, and this is a little micro, and as I always say, in any business format, your thought process has to be micro, but your actual work has to be very, very micro. And that is how it has to be looked at. And hence it is very, very important that within a large business, whether it is dealership or any other business, you have to look at profit centers. So any business, including dealership business, has to be actually a combination of small profit centers. And some of the very successful dealerships across, and I'm not talking about what attracts a PE, but mind you, this also attracts a PE into the business, is that are you a profitable business where the sum of parts is greater than each of the part? And that's extremely important. So our orthodox model is workshop, spare parts, sales. The new age potential is aftermarkets, distribution of parts, digital sales, and any other formats which can give you additional revenues, and be it insurance, be it finance and whatnot. I think it's very, very important to break the entire operation into small parts and see to it that instead of one part of the business feeding to the rest of the business, each one of them on a standalone basis becomes profitable. Fortunately, and I'm using the word fortunately very consciously, there has been the pandemic and the chip shortage. And why I said fortunately, after years of seeing this business, it really needed a halt for everybody to think through कि हम जा कहाँ रहे हैं और हमारे expenses कहाँ जा रहे हैं, हमारा expansion plan कहाँ जा रहा है, right? It has taken people an opportunity to halt and see what is happening in their surround system and what kind of expenses they have accumulated and what kind of a mismanagement in their funds or in their plans or in their strategy has happened. So whether it was in terms of debtors whose monies are pending for 360 days, or it was overstocking, which was just aane do koi baat nahi, or it was a reckless expansion in the operations. These have been the three large reasons why the dealership business has gone down the drain always. I think to a large extent, you can actually see that there is a halt to some of these factors. But having said that, it is very, very important that have various subunits within your current business and see to it that each one of them is profitable and not try to feed one with the other. If sales is not profitable, it is not profitable and you really need to think through what it is. A wholesale and a number one, number two dealership, trust you me, has never helped anyone. It can satisfy you in one function by getting an award, but it does a serious damage to your overall operation. And that is important to understand. So if your insurance, if your after sale, if any of these functions are malfunctioning, kindly sit back, think through, correct it, put it on the right track, ensure that it becomes profitable, or you stop it. That is how the whole business operation has to happen. I happen to see, I would not name the gentleman and the location, but him having invested a large amount of his money onto used car, having a shed, having 400, 500 cars, fantastic, supported by a fantastic digital footprint and all that. I was there for half a day, but then ended up for 2 days because I wanted to really sit with him and understand what is the purpose of doing it. We are not a startup. We are a running business. We are a business which has stocks where there is a tangibility, and this kind of a business will, if you are only trying to attract P's, then that is not the model which will take you forward. So end of the day, after 2 days, when we summed it up, his break even was nothing before 5 years. And that is why I am emphasizing that out of your SBUs, take a conscious call to cut down, to not to expand, to take less of stock, and at some times maybe closure of locations. So be it. I don't see any sense in and there are no, I'm taking the liberty because I don't see many manufacturers here, but I don't see anybody having an ambition to reposition yourself in a cluttered market. We are into a stage where still a lot of expansion is happening. Still there are pockets which are emerging. Those are the expansion markets. So if you are investing in that, it makes more or less the sense to do it. The last one and the most important one, the largest merger and acquisition is going to be in the MSME space. And I don't see a reason why that consolidation cannot happen in any format of MSME, including the automobile business. Right? But for be prepared for it, so you have a chance to either sell or to take over or to expand. So all these formats will be available to you. But for that, coming back to the earlier points what I said, it is very important to have a very transparent balance sheet and a transparent strategy and a transparent execution plan and a clear vision for tomorrow. If we have all these put together, then I think this business will continue to be a very healthy business. This business will continue to be a very thriving business. This business talks about employing some 6 crore people by 2025, and I repeatedly keep on saying it that this is one industry which silently is skilling people, is giving employment, is expanding, is also material for many other allied businesses. But as a banker, it is our responsibility to throw some caution in the air. And if that is followed well, I don't see too many gaps coming. FADA, which I have been following for the last almost 25 years in its new avatar, and thanks to some exceptional leadership across this room who have taken some very authoritative role in earlier cleaning up and then taking the tradition forward by having the best of the professionals today running this entire format. The best thing FADA is doing is that it is approaching the government, it is approaching the manufacturers, it is approaching the banks, which is the right format, wherein all of us have to collectively build it. It is in the interest of the government for their revenue. It is in the interest of the bank for their safety and security. It is in the interest of policymakers for revenue, for insulating the industries. I think we are absolutely in the right direction to follow that. FADA is playing a very, very important role. My full contribution, my full compliments to all of you. Last but not the least, the money never comes cheap. So always remember it. So there's a general perception, 6%, 7%, 8%. And whenever I meet any of the dealer, I think they take it as their birthright, which is their birthright, to say that interest rate should come down. My point is that the way to gauge interest rate is not by looking at the percentage of interest. If that focus can actually shift to the money taken has what potential to create a NIM for you, what kind of margin it will be able to create for you, should be the actual calculation. And if you are able to shift it from looking at the interest rate to what can be the yield you can create out of it, would be a more prudent way to look at it. And if that kind of a discipline happens, trust you me, no dealer, nobody from the dealership business will ever go out of the business. I think these are some of the thoughts which I thought I'll share with you. I just want to leave one thought with the functionaries of FADA from this forum. I have seen the dealers who go out of business. They actually are in a very bad shape. And they generally get struck from all directions. They have no money to pay, they have no money to survive, and they really go through a lot of hardship. If FADA can also have a cell which actually take care of such people in terms of guidance, in terms of any other effort which can be made. Of course, there are requests which come, there are submissions which do happen on behalf of such dealers in distress. But if there can be a format where the bank and some prominent members of FADA can also help to rescue them, would be a great effort. In fact, to have this kind of a unit within the bank. But I don't see that being there. So if we can also install that, and we would love to become a knowledge partner. So Yes Bank would love to become a knowledge partner in that as well, wherein we can look at, and why look at somebody who has gone in distress? We can also look at when things are going down. So at that point of time, can some interventions also help? I think we would do a lot good to the industry. So everything is not about the business and what is the profit the banks are making or the dealers are making. This is a large community. This is one of the largest organized community in the country. And if we can do some effort to see that everybody is healthy, cheerful, and running well, we all should try and contribute towards that. So thank you very much. I think the session from here onwards is all about how prudent measures can be taken and what is the best way to create the safety nets around this business. And there would be a lot of interesting questions. At my level, if anybody wants to reach out to me 24/7, my numbers are available. Kindly call up. It would be our pleasure to come forward to give you any guidance or any support. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very informative. And may I now request Mr. Sai Girdhar to please come and felicitate Shri Rajan Pental ji, Senior Group President and Global Head, Yes Bank. Can we hear it for him, please? Thank you so much, sir.